Can you hear it? I missed that big tire howl going down the highway. It's back. This isn't New England muscle cars. We're Ferrari today. It's my Saturday on. But in between working on whatever comes in today, we're going to put the 3.5-inch lift on this thing today. Alright, I'll give you a quick rundown of what comes in the kit from Rough Country. This is their 3.5-inch suspension lift for the 07 to 13, I think is when they made these things, Avalanches. It's their own specific kit, even though this is basically, well, this is a Suburban chassis, so it's weird, don't know why, but that's how they did it. You get new rear, longer end lengths. These are your rear lift pucks. These are your shock extenders to use your factory shocks with the 3.5-inch lift that we won't be using, and I'll show you why. These are your forged control arms that come with this kit. I chose non-powder coated because it was either this or red, and I don't need red. It's weird because the kit I have on my 07, I got black ones, which were pretty decent. Differential skid plate, all my hardware, and then these are your 3.5-inch front strut lift pucks, which we also won't be using these, and I'm about to show you why. So with this, whoa, almost dropped that. I decided to go with actual 3.5-inch lift shocks, and these are Rough Country's M1 monotube, really nice, almost top of the line. I think the only ones they got over these are their crazy reservoir shocks and struts that they don't offer for this truck as far as I saw. And we're not using these front lift pucks because I did the same thing with the M1 monotube front struts, and these have the 3.5 inches of lift built into it. They're also adjustable. They have slots in here, like your normal adjustable front struts that you can do different heights. They're preset at 3.5 inches, so they're perfect. So these are going to go in too. So let me get this thing up in the air, get some tires taken off of it, and start getting to work on it and take you for a little journey and show you how to do this whole kit in between doing all my regular work today. I figured before we get started, we'll give you a before and after wheel well height. So we're at like 37.75 in the rear. We'll see what we are in the front here. The majority of the lift is in the front. We are at 35.5. So this is going to lift the front. Supposed to be 3.5 inches, and then it lifts the rear to level the truck on that plane. Doesn't give you 3.5 front, 3.5 rear. But let me get this thing up in the air, like I said. All right, we're up in the air. Tires are off. So what we got to do to begin this, I'm doing the rear first, like I said. Undo your clips for these wheel speed sensors, and I usually pull them down so that the clip is now around this part because you need the extra little bit of droop. Undo your rear shocks, undo your rear sway bar mounts, and then undo the mount for the junction block. Well, it's not actually a junction block on this one because it's dual rear ABS, but undo the mount for the brake lines too. Then we can drop everything down. I may or may not have to undo the panhard bar. I can't remember if I have to undo those to get enough droop to get everything in, but let me get that stuff started and then I'll bring you back. I can already tell I'm going to have a love-hate relationship with this fluid film. I love that the previous owner did it and it kept the truck in such pristine condition with no rust or rot under here. I hate that I'm going to be absolutely covered in it by the end of this, as well as all my tools are. I've only undone my top and bottom shock bolts, and I've already gone through 3 pairs of gloves. But so this is the brake line junction I have to undo, so we're gonna undo that now, and my sway bar links, and then I'm gonna put the tranny jack underneath my rear end. So it doesn't fall in any weird areas. And then drop everything out, pull my springs out. I'll show you how to put in the upper spring pucks, and then we'll reassemble the rear end. All right, everything is undone that needs to be undone, so we're gonna lower this down. That should be enough to get my springs out. And I've decided I'm throwing all the bolts and everything that I take off into the parts washer. I'm even gonna throw the springs in there too and clean them up if I stop headbutting my spare tire. There we go. See what I'm talking about with the undercoat? Yeah, beautiful stuff. All right. So that's all good. So I'm going to throw some hardware in the parts washer and then get my stuff out of the box I need to bolt my rear pucks in, and then I'll bring you back. All right, so we got before parts washer, after parts washer. Yeah, much better. I don't care if the springs get rusty. Springs are really cheap and easy to replace. Same thing with shocks. Frame is really the only thing I cared about. I could have done without the rear end being sprayed too, but whatever, it's sprayed. The rear end for my truck is going in it anyways, because like I said before, these are 342 gears, and I want my 410 gears. Okay, so I'm going to show you how your upper spring perch pucks go in. So remember this hole right here? Remember that. So this is your perch. It mounts this way, because you still have your spring locator in the center there. This washer is bigger than that hole. So you put this up, put this washer on top of the frame, you tighten this whole assembly down, it's in there. Okay, the spring perches, let me get the light on that side, are in there, bolted in. The rubber insulators are back on. Pro tip, always reuse your rubber insulators. Metal to metal is going to be noisy, squeak, could be all kinds of issues. Also, always grease your rubber insulators if you're taking them off and putting them back on, just to help with squeak noises and whatnot. So I'm going to put the other insulator back on the lower perch, put these springs in, put my spacer in for the brake lines, put the shocks in, and then I'll bring it back to look at all that before I go and throw the sway bar links in. Oh man, I love this parts washer. Look at this stuff. Beautiful and clean again. These sway bar links, they weren't even this clean when they came out of the box. But you can see the difference in the length here on the sway bar links. It's not much. It's not 3.5 inch worth, but it doesn't need to be, because like I told you, the rear is basically a leveling kit for the 3.5 inches of lift they put on the front. All right, there we go. That's a wrap on the rear. Shocks are in, sway bar links are in, springs are in. I just have to finish tighten all the bolts all the way around, and the back is done. Oh, here's the brake line support or spacer they give you. So that's all that is, moves that up. So we're pretty much, let me see if I can drop it down. We're at full droop right there. And we still got plenty of slack on those. They ain't gonna droop any further than that. Same thing with your ABS cables. That's how I told you I just put them in like that. It holds them out of the way. And that's it for the rear. Just gonna finish tightening everything up, and then we can take apart the front. Okay, rear is 100% done. Oh, got some dirt on my piston here. Yes, I should put boots on these. No, I do not have them. Yes, I may at a later date. I'm not really too crazy about getting in there and doing that. I'm still undecided if I'm going to put just a Corsa catback bolt-on kit from Corsa on this, or a Corsa Pro Series muffler along with the QTP Screamer muffler that I have on the other Avalanche, so I can have loud, quiet. And then like I said, we're getting rid of these stock manifolds and just putting on a set of not Stainless Works, who's the other guys there, Speed Engineering shorty headers that bolt up to the factory pipe. But onto the front. So for the front, here's what we're going to do. We're going to undo the tie rods to get them out of the way, undo the ball joints, undo the mounts for these sensors, undo the axle nuts, undo the sway bar mounts from the frame, Then undo the control arm bolts, take them out, undo the top of the struts, take them out, bottom of the struts obviously. What do you call it? Skid plates coming off, gets replaced with the one that they have. Whole differential's coming out because I have to modify a couple of fins on the differential. I have to put some drop brackets or drop bushings in the differential mounts. All very simple stuff, just time consuming. So I'm going to get to starting that. Oh, one thing I noticed, driver's side at least, the factory locators in your caster camber adjustments are in here. 219,000 I think I have on it now. And these have never been out? What? When these were brand new, I was aligning these trucks with 10,000 miles on them because they were so far out. Passenger side doesn't have them anymore. So obviously this side was adjusted at some point. I could tell they are because when these adjusters are in, they're usually further up this way. But holy crap, can't believe those have never been out. Oh man, all right, ran into my first problem. Surprisingly, the side that still had the adjuster block offs in from the factory, the bolts came out. This side, yeah, not so much. So both of these caster cam upper control arm bolts are seized into the inner metal sleeve inside the control arm bushing. This is part of, I guess you can call it, the good thing that I worked at a place for 8.5 years before I worked for Ferrari that literally had the most wholesale of wholesale cars there. They were horrible. I honed my abilities to work on absolute rusted New England crap boxes and figured out a trick, you know, here and there on many different cars. For these, when these are seized in here, which you know where they are if you try to hit them with the hammer and they're not moving, they're seized, that's it. So, get the other control arm I didn't cut yet. So your first step, while it's in the vehicle, it'll be this way. Slice across here with a torch, slice across here with a torch. Very important, make sure you have an air hose to blow out fires, because stuff like this with the undercoating likes to ignite. It's not uncontrollable, just likes to go. Also, either have a water hose or a spray bottle with water, because you'll need it. So back to that, slice across there, slice across there. So now all you have in the car is these bungs here. Easy part now. You're going to slice through the top of this bushing, top of this bracket, I mean, control arm mount thing. Slice through the top of it. Now by doing that, you're doing one of two things. One, you're slicing through it to alleviate the pressure it has, or the grip it has on the bushing. Two, you're heating the bushing and the casing that the bushing is in. So once you slice through the top, now you should be able to take a hammer or a pry bar or something and rotate it up in the frame, slice through the bottom. Now you should be able to cut this thing completely off and hit it with some hammers. It'll come off, blah, blah, blah. That will leave you to where I am right now. So that leaves you with the bushing. You can see right here, this is where I sliced the control arm off, and it's still got a little bit of cut through there. Next, what you do is do that same thing, but slice through the bushing sleeve here, the casing, I guess you can call it. Now, most times you'll only have to slice through one side, because as you're doing that, you're melting the bushing as well. And then you can just put a punch or a pry bar in there, open this up, rotate it, pull it out. Now, once you get that out, the bushing is usually burnt out of there. If it's not, burn it the hell out of there. What you're going to be left with is just the bolt and the inner sleeve that's stuck to it. 50% of the time, you can get that inner sleeve cherry hot, punch this right through. The other 50% of the time, you can put a quick slice through that sleeve. It'll pop open just enough, push that through. But that's your secret on these, what are these? Actually, crap, these are all the way back to, I believe, 97 had this style still, if I remember right, when they came out with the new style Silverado and all those trucks. But that's your secret for that. I'm an hour into this side, but we'll get it out with no damage to the frame, no damage to your slots, none of that stuff. You're not in here cutting or trying to cut with a whiz wheel or a Sawzall, which yeah, that's not going to work. It's just, this is the easy way. A lot of guys like to slice the heads off of these things, pull the whole thing out. Yeah, that's great. But then if you don't have your adjustment cams, or you don't have another set of them, you're junk. Plus, usually when you're slicing these off, then you're stuck with a butt end that sticks out of there, which you still have to slice off. And you can't slice it off flush with this. You have to have it inside here. So they try to do that. And yeah, you can blow through if you're like a god with the torch. And you can clean it, as you can see here, you can clean it out of there. But most times, 9 out of 10 times, you're damaging this too, and you're cutting into that a little bit. So this is easy mode. Yes, it's smoky. I have all the fans on. I have the door open. Yes, it's dirty. I'm covered in black soot, but it's easy mode. So I'm gonna get back to getting this one off, throw all my hardware into the parts washer, and then pull my front differential out. As you can see, slot cut into that bushing sleeve. So now I'm gonna go in there with the big long chisel punch, open that thing up, get that thing out of there, peel the rest of that bushing out of there, and then I'll show you what's left over. All right, the outer sleeve's gone, the bushing is gone. So now what you're left with is just that inner sleeve. So this one is, you can see it's pretty swollen in areas. So what happens is it swells up from rust and it just grips itself to the threads. So I'm just gonna put a slice through this one, pull the bolt out. And there you go. And there you can see it's all swollen up. So I'm gonna clean these off, sandblast them, get them all down to normal, retap all these threads on this end, the nut, clean out everything that's in there, wire brush both this side and the inside and grease them. And that'll be when I do all the assembly. But first, like I said, I gotta pull this differential out. Oh, I got pulled off to do work stuff. So I'll have to get back over there in about 45 minutes or so. All right, axles are disconnected, drive shaft's disconnected. Sway bar is undone and drooped down, so now you can see why I do that, because you get a ton of extra room. Sometimes you have to undo the rack to let it droop down. I'm going to see if I can sneak this by without it. But what I want to show you guys is, so in their instructions they tell you you have to grind down these two fins right here so that those are just flat to the case. And you have to do that because we are putting in spacers on these mounts for the differential that drops the differential down. I believe it's an inch. A little more than an inch maybe. And if you drop them down, obviously these are going to hit the frame right here, but if you grind those off, you have plenty of clearance and everything fits. So once I get done with the car over there that I am working on, we're going to drop this thing out. All I got left to disconnect is just the breather hose, and then put it on, probably put it on the transmission jack, and then start cutting those off. I'm just going to go in with a whiz wheel and cut them off until I get them close to the case, and then go in with a sanding disc and do them nice and flush and smooth there. The only other thing we have to do after that is, forget which way this goes, but oh, it goes this way. So we have to cut a slot out of this. Oh, let me put you here. Slot out of this here to clear the front of the whole snout and all this crap, because once again you're dropping it down right into there. But it's easy stuff. It's really the only modifications you have to do. I don't know if I've told you this yet, but everything I'm doing to this for this 3.5 inch kit, if I keep my stock suspension stuff that's over there, everything can be reverted back. This is a bolt-on kit, besides the fact that I had to cut my control arms out. Usually you don't have to do that, so you'll have your old control arms still. But this is unlike the other kits, how it used to be. You had to cut your frame horns off and do all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm not 100% on their 5.5 inch and 7.5 inch, because I know they do give you new drop brackets here that literally drop everything down. I don't know if there's any cutting on those because I haven't done them, but this 3.5, I can tell you for a fact, everything can be put back to stock, which is what I'm going to do on the 07, so I can sell that kit to somebody. Well, that came out kind of easy, a lot easier than I was expecting it to. Just kind of dropped it down a little bit of this angle, then rotated back, and it kind of dropped right out. So now you can get a good view. Let me move this out of the way, actually, because it's gonna have to go on the bench so I can do the modification. Now you can get a good view at here and here, and then same thing on this side, here and there. That's where the spacers are going to go to drop this whole assembly down. This is also your oil pan replacement procedure. Take your front end out and you get a perfect view of your oil pan. But to do the oil pan, you'll definitely have to undo the rack and let it droop down so you can get it out and out of there. And that I will actually be doing when see, I'm doing all this, but like I said, I'm replacing the front and rear diffs with mine with 410 gears, but we got to do all this anyways. So where was I going with this? Oh, so when I do the front and rear differentials, I'll be doing those in Lakeville. I am dropping the pan, not to reseal it because there's any leaks. There's a couple little drips. It's 200,000 miles, whatever. Because I want to put a new O-ring on the pickup to make absolutely sure that's good. I want to shim the return spring to get a little more low end or a little more top end pressure out of it. And there's a valve relief. I showed you this in another video. I think it was when I was building I think the Chevelle and McDreamy. There's a 60 psi valve pressure relief in here on engines that had DOD. So actually it was just Chevelle only, because that was an engine from a van that had DOD. And I'm going to put I believe it's a 14x15 plug in that, because we don't need to be blowing off any more oil pressure, because DOD has been deleted from this thing. So let me go finish doing a couple more updates to that car I'm working on, do the oil change on that, then I can get on to doing my modifications on this, dropping those brackets, doing my modification on that, and then everything gets bolted back in. Well, I figured while I'm doing a 45-minute reflash over here, I might as well bring the rear end over into my bay, because I'm not working in my bay, I'm working in the bay with the truck lift, and do my front differential modification here. So this is all you got to do. You take these two fins off, smooth everything out, make it all look pretty. This is as pretty as it needs to be. It's not getting powder coated. It's not a SEMA build. Actually, SEMA builds is shit. It's not a show car. But that's it. I rounded off this edge. So this fin came all the way down to here. This came all the way down to here. So I just chopped both of them off, went at it with a grinding disc, smoothed it all out after. And let me tell you, one of my least favorite things in the world to do is to grind and sand aluminum, because oh my god, does it get all over everything, and then I'm itchy like I've been in fiberglass the rest of the day. Well, there you go. There's your front spacer. Let me not block the light. And there's your rear spacer back there. Let's see if we can get you in a good space here. Right up there. Not gonna bother showing you that side. It's exactly the same as this side, so just gonna do that side, and then we're ready to put the front differential back up. Well, there we are. Differential's all bolted back up. I'll show you right here. You can see you get about a 1/4 to 1/8 of an inch of clearance, which is plenty, and that's why you grind those two fins off. So now I've already greased my control arm contact points up there by the bushings, so I'm going to throw those bolts in, get everything finger tight, and then I can slide my struts up and in. Very important here. These bolts for your upper control arm go from the inside of the strut pocket out. Also, since I'm about to bolt in my ball joints, they give you these cone washers for the ball joints, but you only use these if you have a 4x4 with factory aluminum upper control arms, which I don't, it's steel, or a 2-wheel drive with factory steel upper control arms, not 2-wheel drive. So I don't need these. Now, for the time that at least I've been waiting for, we're going to put our first strut in. So they give you top bolts. They actually also give you bottom bolts, and there is new bottom bolts that come with the kit as well, because this is meant to be used with your stock struts, but double up everything, whatever, it's cool. I have extra hardware now. Oof, that's a nice look. So I've got these uppers finger tight, so I have some movement in this. I'm going to put my transmission jack wherever, oh, it's right here, underneath my control arm, and push it up and get these ones in and finger tight, and then I can start buttoning up the rest of all the suspension stuff. This is why you leave everything finger tight, so you can get this over here and lined up and get some bolts started, because if this is completely, or these are bottomed out and this is sucked all the way up in there, it's going to sit at about this angle, and you are not pushing those back to get in there. So I'm going to get these bolts in there and finger tight, and then we can start tightening everything. These top ones I'll leave loose until I get the wheels on it back down on the ground, and then I'll tighten those from on top of the gun, but the bottom ones down here I'll tighten. All right, we're in there. We're hanging by the strut now. There's no longer stuff hanging by the control arm bushings and whatnot. So I'm going to start tightening everything up. We're going to tighten those up first. Then we're going to do this ball joint. Then I'm going to do those brackets. Then I'm going to do this tie rod. And then after the other side is done, we're going to do this sway bar. You know what? I've actually changed my mind. Instead, we're going to come over to this side first. Control arm, strut, the whole, we're going to mirror the other side, because I realized once I tighten that side up, even though the sway bar is not connected, it is going to pull this up a little bit and probably make it a little bit harder for me to get this side all lined up. So we're going to get this side rough in as well. And that is one side completed. So I still got to do an alignment after I get done putting all this in. But what I'm going to do is set my cams directly in the middle point, front and rear on both sides. So that way I can get a decent adjustment on it, or yeah, it's a decent start point. These alignments are easy, so I'll bang this thing out probably 20 minutes, caster, camber, toe. Okay, second side in and done. First I've got to go wash my arms off, and then next what we're going to do is the sway bar, the axle shaft bolts, bolt everything up underneath. And then lastly, we're going to trim this cross member piece. It's not supposed to be the last thing you do, but I made it the last thing I did. And I wanted to show you, hopefully the strut's not in the way now. It's kind of in the way. But if you look down in there, here we go, kinda. You can see the clearance you have now for that front differential. So there's about a 1/4 inch clearance. Which side's this camera on? Let me flip you around this way. There you go. Now you can see. You got a good gap down there, so that's plenty. So moving right along. This usually, I think, what is Rough Country? I think Rough Country says it's like a 5-hour job. This is usually like 3 hours for me, but like I said, I'm working on other stuff in between. Plus, it is an absolute mess. So I've gone through a 1.5 boxes of gloves already. But yeah, let me get some more of this underneath stuff done, and then we can put it down on the wheels. Okay, so Rough Country gives you measurements of where to mark this whole thing out. So this square is what's coming out, and this is just more clearance for the differential now that it's hanging lower. So I'm going to put a new cutoff wheel in my whiz wheel, and then we're going to chop this off, and this is it. Then we can put this back up underneath the truck, way over there, and we can put the wheels on it, put it on the ground. Well, there we go. Opened up, deburred, time to go on the truck. All right, now you can see why they have you do that. So you have clearance for there. I gotta tighten these 4 bolts for that cross member, put the skid plate on, put my factory mudguard skiddy platey thing back on, and we can put the wheels on it. All right, that's that. That's a wrap on the front. I will say they have changed quality on some things. Like I know on my original kit I have on my 07, this skid plate, this is, I mean, this is like 1/8 inch. You ain't, that thing's done if you hit something. Not like I'm off-roading this thing or anything, but the one that came on my 07 was 1/4 inch plate. It was far more heavy duty, but everything is bolted back up. I'm gonna take one last look around, make sure I'm good to go. I've got to clean the floor real quick so John doesn't kill me, because these are technically, this is John's bay. And then we'll lower it down and we'll put the wheels on it. Well, there we go. This is 3.5 inch lift installed. Those fronts are definitely going to settle down just a little bit. They are brand new coils. But that's right around where my other one sat. The front wheel wells, the arches are a little higher than the rears. So they sit there good. I mean, it's a good lift, good amount. I mean, it's gonna look good with the bigger tires on it. Until I get down to Lakeville, I'm gonna be that dork that did a lift and has small tires still. But I mean, it looks good. I've only taken it around the lot. I still gotta go back inside and do my alignment. But as you can tell, that wheel is definitely cambered outwards, so I gotta set all that. But yeah, so far it feels good. So I'm gonna go inside, do the alignment, and then if I'm feeling froggy, go down to Lakeville and get my other tires. Oh yeah, you can definitely tell sitting in here without the sun sucks. This morning the sun was on one side of the truck. This afternoon it's on the other side. It's a stupid world turning thing. But yeah, that front end is massively higher than it was. So this is perfect. This is actually, now that it's gone around the building and kind of settled just real quick on itself, it's actually back down to almost exactly where my other truck is. So this will probably drop down maybe another ½ inch. Ooh, I gotta measure so we can compare with what I had last time. Hold on a sec. Okay, so I wasn't smart and wrote these numbers down beforehand, but you know, they're on the GoPro, so I'll just superimpose them up here. Let's see, what do we got now? So now we are at 39.5 in the rear, and this front should be quite a jump. And we are at 40.25 in the front. So those numbers are all up there now, so you can see how much actual lift we got. And I'm gonna straighten out my alignment real quick now. All right, here we are, which I knew we were gonna be that far off. I told you I only had them rough set. Now, I got my other truck back to factory spec. Rough Country gives you some specs. I'm gonna actually try their specs, minus the tow. The tow I'm gonna set to factory. And we're gonna see how that rides. And if I don't like it, Monday morning we'll set it to factory, or as close to factory specs as I can. All right, this is where I ended up. This is not bad, actually. Negative ½ degree camber is actually pretty good. Just a tad more caster on the driver's side than the passenger to account for the crown of the road. All right, now I gotta put it down on the way to the wheels again, redo my caster sweep, double check those numbers, do my tow set. All right, that's pretty good. Yes, it is just a 0.1 of a degree higher caster on that side, but I had a major caster shift over here because the tow was so far out. Once the tow got brought in, it changed the caster. But I still have to drive this and make sure everything is settled. And so I will redo the alignment just to double check it after I get the big wheels on it. But, oh, I'm sweating my ass off and I almost just tripped. As of right now, I'm gonna put this thing down. I'm gonna clean up all of my tools, all of John's tools, and make a decision on whether or not I'm going to Lakeville right after this to put the big wheels on, which I think I am, because I want to see how they look. All right, I'll be back in about 10. All right, guys, we're here to grab my wheels and tires off of that. It's like almost 6 o'clock. So I figured while I was here, give you a quick little sneak peek. Oof. Oof. Sunshine is a truck again. Noah's got these gaps perfect. We're gonna start really banging away on this. He put up that he took the bumper and he tucked it a good 2 inches to give it a better, smoother look. This thing is, now that it's all in one color, the primer, you can really see how nice and straight he's got this thing and how perfect he's got the gaps. It's unbelievable. This is gonna be a sweet, sweet truck. I can't wait. Whew. I'm beat. I'm tired. I'm gonna get these wheels and tires on this truck, show you guys, and then go the F home. But yeah, look at this thing. It's a really good looking truck. These bump sides there's something else. I love me an old Chevy, you know, 67 and up style, even a square body, but these bump sides are awesome. I'm hoping we can get as much, what's the word I'm looking for, excitement around this truck as we did the orange truck. Because the orange truck, the 69 4x4, that thing stole the show at Scottsdale last year, 2 years ago. Is it 2 years ago? 1 year? I don't know how. It's been a bit. I think it was 2 years. But it stole the show. Oh, sorry, Palm Beach. It stole the show there. But yeah, let me get this car out of the way so I can pull my truck in, so I can jack the tires up or jack the wheels up one by one and swap them. And I'm just going to pull the old truck right up here and do it because we have an off-road jack. Look at this thing. Off-road truck, off-road jack. I'm going to do all of it. All right, let me get to that. So I'm not going to lie to you guys. I do miss that. I miss that a lot, but I gotta steadfast in my convictions. Oh, it's breaking my heart. It feels so bad to cannibalize this thing. We've been through multiple failed relationships. We've been through multiple jobs. Tons and tons of fun times. It feels like I'm doing it a disservice by stripping it. But look at this thing. Oh my God. I cannot wait until Monday or Tuesday night, whichever night I have free time, to get my new wheels on these tires. This thing looks awesome. I am very happy with that. It's pretty much how I thought it was going to look, but it's awesome. I love it. I feel bad about that one, but I love this one. So with that, it's going to be it for me today. It is 6 o'clock. I have been awake since 5 in the morning. I looked it up. So Rough Country gives this a 6 to 8 hour install time. I got it done in 5, and with that, I was doing it while I was working, and I ran into some stuff like that frozen upper control arm with those bolts. So I mean, you got a clean truck, cleaner truck, I'm gonna say, because this truck is clean, so something newer, whatever, and you have the lift and the power tools, you can get this done 4 hours all day long, and then alignment after that. I mean, it took me, I think, about 22 minutes to align this. But yeah, so that's it. So like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Next weekend we're actually going to be taking the 410 front and rear differential out of that truck and putting it in this truck here on these two lifts, hopefully, if they're open. They may or may not be, so that might change my plans. And I am going home because I have leftover Kentucky Fried Chicken. I didn't cough because of Kentucky Fried Chicken. I just still got that going on. And I'm going to Red Sox Yankees tomorrow. Yankees suck, everybody. I'll talk to you guys later. It's been fun, but it's been 13 hours of fun today. So I'll see you later.